Hello everyone, welcome to today's News Charter series. The idea behind the News Charter series of Vishishta IAS Academy is to equip the students with the ability to analyze the news from prelims, mains, and interview perspective on their own. So what we do here is within 15 minutes, we will give you an idea of different news, different important news of the day, and tell you how you should analyze them, how you should approach these news from all the three parts of the examination. So let's begin with today's news starter. The first important news for the day is about Model Code of Conduct. So recently, as you might be knowing, that the elections are going on in several states. So there was a news about Election Commission told the Telangana farmer aid scheme should be put on hold because of the Moral Code of Conduct. So what is this scheme, and all these details are not much important unless you are from Telangana. You should know about the Raitu Bandhu scheme of Telangana for your interview. Other than that, it's not required. For other people, the normal candidates who are preparing for the exam, they should be knowing about the Model Code of Conduct. What is Model Code of Conduct? So it is a set of guidelines which are given by the Election Commission to regulate the political parties, the candidates, and their conduct. When election is happening, people will go to campaign, and at this time we should make sure that no one breaches a particular code, so that there is a balance between all the parties. So from where does the election commission get the power to do this? It is article 324 of the constitution which gives the election commission this particular power to conduct fair and free election. So Article 324 becomes very important from your examination point of view in prelims and for mains also. Article 324 of the Constitution is very, very important for both prelims and mains, because this is the article which gives the Election Commission of India the power to conduct free and fair election. And it is because of this the Model Code of Conduct exists. So from when to when? That's a fact which is important for prelims. From the date on which the election schedule gets announced until the date of the result. From the date of the schedule until the date of the result, this will continue. What kind of limitations the Election Commission of India gives? First thing, when candidates are campaigning, they cannot they cannot give things or criticize things which talks about the personal identification or the personal conduct of the people. It cannot comment on the caste basis. It cannot comment on communal basis. It cannot give any regional slur. These kind of things has to be taken care of. So the criticism should be proper. The criticism should be against the policies of the government. The criticism should be against the programs of the government. Other than that, the personal conflicts and all these things should not be coming into the play. So the manifesto also, the election manifesto of the candidates should not contain anything against the ideals and principles of the constitution. Everyone should follow the constitution. All the conduct should be according to the law. Nothing illegal will happen. So this is the Model Code of Conduct. Recently, the Silkyara tunnel problem happened. So because of this, environmental impact assessment has been given importance. Environmental impact assessment is a very important topic in GS3. So you should be knowing about it. So from mains perspective, this topic is very important. Even from prelims perspective, this topic becomes extremely important. How did the environmental impact assessment come into play? It comes because of the Environment Protection Act of 1986. With the help of the 1986 Act, the environmental impact assessment notification was given by the government. In this notification, the government mentioned certain processes. So when a project which is implemented, which might have some impact on the environment, certain processes are followed. What are all the processes? And details about it is extremely important for mains examination, especially for 2020 or 2024. So the first process is screening process and scoping process. In this, they will understand what kind of project it is, whether it will have any impact, Does it really need an impact assessment? Second, data collection and impact prediction techniques. Data collection about the quality of the environment. If a product is if project is implemented, what kind of impact it will create? Whether it will have impact on air quality, water quality, soil conditions. So all these things are analyzed. Then what kind of mitigation measures can be taken care? If it is having too much of impact, can we go for some alternate project instead of going through this particular project? So all these things are taken care of. Then the people of the region, it is the people whom are going to get affected because of this project. So it is for the people of the region to come and give their opinion, give their ideas, so that is also considered. Then finally, review and decision making process. What kind of changes we should be adapting, and whether we should go forward with this process or not itself is decided in this stage. Value addition for mains perspective, when you are getting a question on environmental impact assessment, usually people will write each and every point mentioned in the process, but it would be great if you are able to mention a particular case. The case is Lafag Umiam mining case, which happened in 2014, in which the Supreme Court told environmental clearance could not be granted to projects that violate the environmental laws. Whatever environmental laws are in the country, that has to be followed. If a project is overcoming it, they will not give environmental impact assessment. Dollarization is one concept which was in news today because in Argentina, the government has changed and the newly elected president is talking about dollarization. Dollarization means leaving the leaving the country's currency and then shifting completely to dollars. The problem with Argentina is facing hyperinflation. Extreme amount of inflation is there. Too much of money supply is there. So that has to be completely taken care of. So governments do a lot of things. Usually in such cases, when the inflation is around 100 percentage, what they generally do is take away the currency, the present currency, and come up with a new currency. Instead, the president-elect candidate was telling that let us go for dollar. In this case, what will happen? The reason why they tell that we can go for dollar is because he thinks once you tell that the present currency is no more legal, and when you go for dollar, then whoever is controlling the money at present, the corrupt section of the society who is controlling the money, they will lose, and people will not have enough money in their hand, due to which spending will reduce, and so inflation can come down. But the negative impact of this is, if you bring in like that, if you bring in dollar, the government's control over the money will completely go. At present, whenever the government want, they can increase the amount of money flow in the market, reduce the amount of money flow in the market based on their necessities. This power will go away from the government. Other than that, usually whenever the governments want to increase the trade, what they do is they will, if they want to increase the export, what they do is they will reduce the value of the currency. So this power will also go away from the government. These are the negative impacts. So dollarization means what is important for prelims. Impacts of dollarization is important for mains. What are fiber optic cable is a very important topic from your science and technology perspective. So fiber optic cables have been used for a very long time now, for telecommunication, for information broadcasting, for your broadband services, for all these things, fiber optic cables are used. So what is this is very important. Fiber optic cables are small cylindrical strands, small cylindrical wires through which the communication happens. Small cylindrical strands. The diameter will be very small. It will be almost equal to a human hair. So these fibers carry information, everything, whatever information we get online today, like text, image, videos, telephonic calls, all these things can be carried away. And the most significant point is the speed of light. The information gets carried in the speed of light. This particular fact is important for prelims. These points are also important for prelims. How does this happen? The process through which this happens is total internal reflection. Total internal reflection means what? When reflection is something which you already know, when light touches the glass, it gets reflected outside. But if light is carried away through glass throughout for kilometers and kilometers of distance, that is called as total internal reflection. That is light getting reflected within the glass completely. It will not bounce outside the glass, it will just go through the glass all over the distance. So inside the cable, on all the sides, glasses will be there, light will be passed, light will get reflected from one glass to another, and then it will travel at the speed of speed of the light. So because of this, the information can be carried away for a very long period, for a very long distance at the shortest period possible. So for prelims, this particular fact is important because we are talking about the fiber optic cables. Central Glass and Ceramic Research Institute is located in Kolkata. This particular fact is important for prelims. Where we will apply this technique. The technology of fiber optic cables are applied in telecommunication, medical science, laser technology and sensing, and even in quantum computing. These kind of statements are given in prelims, so it is very, very important. Try to take care of it. There was one more news about reducing the pressure of Supreme Court. Supreme Court has too many cases pending. Around 80,000 cases are there, 79,813 cases. In mains, you might not remember the number, but whenever they are asking question about Supreme Court or reducing the pressure on judiciary, you can mention around 80,000 cases are pending in Supreme Court itself. So for this, certain recommendations are given already, and that should be noted down for your mains examination. 10th Law Commission report already, 10th Law Commission recommended the Supreme Court should be split into two divisions, one constitutional division and then legal division. So constitutional division will take care of only the constitutional cases. All the other legal cases will be taken care by the legal division. So in this case, the constitutional cases can be dealt away very easily, very fastly. Second, there was a case called Bihar Legal Support Society versus Chief Justice of India in 1986, in which the Supreme Court itself told it is desirable to establish a national court of appeal. So whatever appeals are happening, that can be dealt by the National Court of Appeal. Special leave petitions are there. What is special leave petition is a very important point for prelims. Take a note of it. 229th Law Commission report in 2009, it recommended 4 regional benches should be created. At present, we have bench only in Supreme Court, but then if we are creating benches in Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai, in all these important places, to hear non-constitutional issues, the constitutional issues can be taken care by the Supreme Court, all the non-constitutional issues can be taken care by the regional bodies. It will be easy for the people to approach. For example, if someone is from Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, they can directly go to the Supreme Court bench of Hyderabad. So it becomes easy for them. So these are the recommendations you can mention in your answer also. Some important points from prelims examination perspective which you should know. Article 145, clause 3, it talks about setting of a constitutional bench. Minimum 5 judges should be there in a constitutional bench, which is mentioned in Article 145.3. Take a note of it. Article 143, it talks about power of president to consult the Supreme Court. So whenever president has some doubt about the legal problems, or if there is some confusion about the constitutional provisions, he will go to the Supreme Court according to Article 143, and the Supreme Court will give their recommendation. It is not completely binding on the president. So this article should be studied. Go and study this article. It is very important. Article 136, in which Supreme Court says, in its own discretion, the Supreme Court can grant special leave appeal for any judgment. So a case is happening in a high court or a tribunal, the Supreme Court can tell that you leave the case, let me handle the case because it has too much of constitutional problems in it. Confusions are there, so let me handle the case. In that way, Supreme Court will ask for a special leave and take the case over. Here, the most important point the student should understand is special leave petition does not apply for armed Forces Tribunal. So these are all important for your prelims examination perspective. Take a note of it. One thing which you can do a little research about today is legal status of moral code of conduct. Moral code of conduct is there, we dealt with in the beginning itself. I told you moral code of conduct is given by the Election Commission of India, but it doesn't have any legal status yet. Legally, it is not the power of the election commission. It is not told that how election commission will implement, or there is no particular act to give the power to implement it legally. So this is why every time you can see that several candidates breach the model code of conduct and the election commission will not be able to do anything. So what's the reason for this? Why we are not able to come up with a legal status? Study about it, and if possible, comment in the comment section. One important fact which you should be knowing from mains examination perspective is 5.5 trillion cyber attacks happened in the world in 2021, which is over 14.5 billion attacks every day. So this much cyber security problem is happening. It is very important from paper 3 point of view for mains. You can take a note of this point. You can mention it in your answer too. All the best. We'll meet tomorrow.